Yeah. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. I'm here today with Jordan Furrow. How you doing?
Doing good.
Good. So you're a creative of many forms. How would you describe your creative practices?
I would say mainly I'm a musician, and then I'd practice some visual arts like collage, a little bit of painting, sometimes clay, but mostly music is what I feel I do the best at.
Yeah. So when you say music, you both play multiple instruments and you write songs?
Yeah. I try to play as many instruments as possible: drums, bass, guitar, piano. I've just been recently learning some clarinet, saxophone. Um, and songwriting is another thing that is sort of close behind in those that I've been trying to focus more on lately.
Yeah, got some magical wordsmithery. So with all those different outlets of creativity, what would you say drives you to follow those dreams?
Just the joy that I feel from getting to create, the pleasure of getting to express myself in a way that words can't normally, or normal words can't, using poetry can kind of go beyond what's, able to be expressed in normal conversations. So I think just, the joy and the pleasure of what it feels like to be able to make things up on the go and to communicate with other people through music and through art, and feel that they have a connection to you, or they see what you meant by something, or you reminded them of something that's important to them. So yeah, just the connection that it fosters too. Super important.
Beautiful. So I'm curious, that being said, I've seen you pick up just about any instrument and try to mess with it. And you usually do really well just like the first time, and it blows my mind. How do you get past the fear of exploring different modalities or instruments or creative pathways?
That's a good question. Yeah, and it's not always easy to answer. There's just an excitement about being challenged. It's like a challenge that if it's your passion, it doesn't feel like a labor. If it's not something you enjoy doing, then it's like, oh, there's a challenge I have to overcome, and I got to get better. I'm not doing good. But if it's something you enjoy enough and it feeds you, then it's like, oh, I'm looking forward to challenging myself. I'm looking forward to learn how to get the extra grace notes on the left hand, and how to, just always be improving. And it's a subtle line between like, you know, deriving pleasure and joy from getting to be challenged versus I don't really enjoy it, so it doesn't feel like something I want to get better at. So yeah, just embracing the challenge, kind of like parkour style. There's no obstacles, there's only opportunities. So you can use anything in your path to add to your XP gaining, gain your XP using anything that you come across in your artistic path.
I love that.
Yeah.
So would you say that you've always been a creative, or did something ever like trigger you to be more creative?
In my childhood, I remember playing, like on a toy drum here and there. My dad had me playing baseball most of my childhood. So, that sort of informed much of the early years of my life. And then I'd say when my brother gave me his CD player, and it had, I listened to Nirvana for just a year straight when I was 13, well, maybe like 12. So I'd say 12, 13 was the point at which I'd already played music a little bit in school before then, but it was more compulsory, or it was more just like an elective, and I hadn't developed a passion for it yet. And I would just kind of passively listen to music as a kid, enjoyed it, and really had like, a wonderful sense of kind of synesthesia a little bit with it sometimes. But then whenever my brother gave me the CD player and I started listening to music intentionally with headphones, just something about it was able to like pierce me in the heart much more effectively, to the point where I was like, now I don't want to just listen. I want to actually learn how to do that. And then it was just monkey see, monkey do from there. Watch videos of my favorite musicians and just watch what they do. Like, oh, that's how you make that sound. And oh, that's what you do with your foot, or whatever, and just the joy of getting to have something that I could control and be myself with, and make a lot of noise, and just, express the raw emotion. Probably started, right when I was 13, and the rest is history.
Wow. So what advice might you have for another creative that is absolutely terrified of picking up an instrument, but like loves music?
I would say give it a shot, and you can't fail. because to create is not something that anyone else can judge but yourself. I mean, other people can, but I don't think it's something that should be taken to heart initially. There's always discipline and receiving constructive criticism later, but I think you should, not not lose the idea that you can run, but you're afraid to crawl. Like you have to crawl, then walk, then run, and then even fly. Hop, skip, jump, whatever it is, metaphorically.
Yeah.
So just count on making mistakes, but don't let that be an impediment. Let it be just a way to understand that, like, even professionals are practicing still. They're not always getting it right, and if they do get it right, oftentimes you don't often see the times behind the scenes. That they've played this one part 25 times and I should know it by now. Like years later, I still mess up on stuff that I have been playing since I was a teenager, but the joy again outweighs the frustration, I guess. So yeah, don't be afraid to just start pressing buttons, as my friend Archie used to say, especially on guitar. Just see how it makes you feel, and you can't fail at letting yourself know how you feel or expressing how you feel. You're just being real about it, so it's not a thing that you should feel like judgment about, so imposter syndrome is real. Respect to people that have that. I sometimes have that, but I think that it's just a passing thought, and the more you can just immerse yourself in the raw feeling of experiencing, well, just how does it make you feel, and you don't even have to put a label on it. Just see, what does that chord feel like, and what does that chord feel like, and how do both of them together make me feel, and just start to experience that, and you'll forget about the frustration or the fear. It'll dissolve on its own if you just follow your bliss, trust your path, and that's what I'd say.
No, I love that. That's important, because so many people are afraid of sounding silly when they first get started, me included. It's like you have to like get used to hearing what sounds wrong so that you can embrace what sounds right too, I think. Or not that there is a right or wrong, but some things just sound a little bit more off.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's been interesting about music is, me as a visual artist, I can see if I blend colors and they look funny or they just like don't make sense. And even that's still considered like abstract art. But with music, it takes a minute to really feel into like what flows well and what instruments you like. Do you have a favorite instrument?
I would say drums. Yeah, because that's what took my heart the first time I ever began to play on my own. And my mom bought me my first drum set, and bless her heart, was able to eventually be able to sleep through me playing somehow, and all of my neighbors that had to put up with me not knowing how to play first and then knowing how to play. So it's an art that you can express, and you can't hide your mistakes unless you have really good soundproof. But another point on not being afraid is, like, for me, being intimidated to rap or do a cipher or just spontaneously start saying poetry and you just have to count on making up words randomly and saying goofy things that you don't really mean to say, but you have to allow yourself just kind of the lightheartedness to give yourself permission to be kind of lighthearted about it, and then you can say some really profound things. You're like, I didn't know I was going to say that, but you just kind of are like trusting your voice, and then there's some subconscious thing that eventually, it's a muscle you got to exercise, but you have to also count on just like sometimes it's not there. You show up and the muse is not there, but it's important that you show up on a regular basis and you get better and it becomes more comfortable, and you become that the fear turns into excitement, and it's just like you get the jitters for one, you get the jitters for the other, but it's just a slight spectrum shift on the excitement, the shaking that makes you just be prepared and fully present to face the fear and rise, face everything and rise, FEAR, whatever that thing is. Anyway.
Beautiful. So how do people check out your music and support you?
I'm on YouTube. You can search Furrow the Depths on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I'm working on a website right now and getting some things figured out before that's ready to launch. So kind of going to keep everything there as well. That's pretty much it. Furrow the Depths.
Are you on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's another good place. Because you post your videos and stuff there too sometimes.
Yeah. And I'm not so regular. I'm trying to get to that point, but there's enough to see there to kind of get an idea. And
you'll be posting some of your collage work and other things there as you keep going?
Yes.
Awesome.
100%.
Cool. Well, thanks for hopping on Shine Online with me.
Cool. Thank you.